Okay, Parsha Noach, fifth aliyah. And God said to Noach and to his sons with him, saying, so God also spoke to Noach's sons, and I, behold, I am setting up my covenant with you and for your seed after you, and with every living creature that is with you, among the fowl, among the cattle, among all the beasts of the earth with you, and all those that came out of the ark, of all the living creatures of the earth. Now, did all these creatures know that happened? Did he, like, how do God created them? So I guess they know it, they go know it instinctively. Like he doesn't. I mean, that's really interesting thought, right? And I was that this covenant that God is establishing with Noach and his family is also established with the animals, which means the animals are aware of it. And I will establish now. Maimonides does mention that every living, every entity, all the way down to like the smallest thing, is aware, does have an awareness of God. He mentions that in the Yad Hazakah, in the Yad Hazakah is his book of halacha. He actually mentions that every single thing in the plant, everything that's ever been created, does have knowledge of God, of its creator. Okay, so it's not as maybe he gets it from this. I don't know. Okay. Oh, and I will establish my covenant with you, and never again will all the flesh be cut off by the flood waters, and there will never be again a flood to destroy the earth. But again, like I mentioned, it does leave open the possibility of a different extinction level event. And God said, this is the sign of the covenant which I'm placing between me and you, between me and between you. And this is the aspect of Vayomer Elohim. So this is the aspect of strict justice between every living soul that is with you for everlasting generations. My rainbow I place in the cloud, and it shall be placed, and it shall be for a sign of the covenant between myself and the earth. Now, did the rainbows exist before that? This is actually a question that's discussed in the Talmud, because almost every single question that I might have or that it might come to your mind is probably discussed somewhere inside of Jewish tradition, inside not so much in the Mishnayot, but usually in like the Brisas and the Gemorahs. Eventually, the expansion of the Mishnahs, eventually they get into discussing all kinds of, and like almost literally anything you could possibly think of gets discussed. I mean, it's a lot of discussions over there. Okay, and it shall come to pass when I cause clouds to come upon the earth that the rainbow shall appear in the cloud. But I mean, obviously there had to be rainbows before this, because it's just like a natural phenomenon. And I will remember my covenant, which is between me and between you, and between every living creature among all flesh. And the water will no longer become a flood to destroy the earth, but again, destroy all flesh. But of course, there could be floods that could destroy, like if you have like the rising tides could destroy certain cities, but it won't destroy all the flesh. It doesn't mean, so we have to kind of qualify what God's saying. And also, again, it does strongly indicate, these verses over here does strongly indicate that the animals did have a covenant with Hashem, with God. And we're talking about the aspect of God that here it says, of UK Vavk. So sometimes it goes back and forth. It's interesting. And God said to him, and Vayomer Elohim, and God said again, Elohim, and God said to Noach, this is the sign of the covenant that I've set up between myself and between all flesh that is on the earth. Okay, so it's a very, very repetitive. Sometimes the Torah is very, very repetitive, and we have to kind of try and think about why that is. Like, why does it need to do this? I mean, why are we wasting so much ink over here? But that's a question really for the rabbis. I don't really have an answer for that, but it is kind of interesting. It does seem a little bit repetitive from verse to verse in this aliyah. So that is the end of the fifth aliyah.